I enjoyed lunchtime.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, but everyone was talking and eating. Was that not annoying?
It was a little loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I think like when people are clanking their forks and chewing, it's virtually impossible to command attention.
it's a little difficult. Okay, you want me to? I'll take off my.
Your jangles?
Yes.
Your bling?
My bling.
What is all that bling?
I just went to China in April,
Oh, nice.
so these are bracelets from China.
Cool.
Yeah, and so did you guys know like real jade actually they call it growing, so it actually gets darker as it
Ages?
Yes, but it has to be wearing. So I wear this one all the time, but so this one's gotten much darker than my other one, and like this one also has a root in it, so it's a darker green.
What is it? What about the properties of the stone change color?
I couldn't tell you.
I want to know the molecular breakdown of the jade.
I left engineering 3 years ago, so
And as it relates with human skin, that's so weird. It doesn't do that if you just leave the block.
No. So yeah, I mean you can. I mean this one's, and these are both the same quality of jade, but I mean you can see there's a pretty significant difference from wearing it all the time.
It's grown.
Yes, it has.
It's full grown. I've learned something already. Fantastic. Hey, you want to do a podcast?
Sure.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm the founder of VRMB and the host of the Vacation Rental Show. And this is season 4 of Unlocked, the Tiny Architects edition, in which we travel to meet the world's most innovative vacation rental professionals in their element and find out what makes them so special. This is Unlocked. That was a funny surprise moment for us. We were going to plan on meeting, and then I said, let's just do a podcast. And you said, okay. You're game?
I'm game.
Cool.
Yeah, and thank you for the water, by the way.
Oh, my pleasure. And the podcast, may I clarify, is today, not yesterday.
For your email, yes.
It's a joke because I'm always the one who gets the planning wrong. So for me, it was just the natural instinct was, of course I messed it up. But for once, I was actually right. And we are here sitting with you today. Where are we, Elizabeth, first and foremost?
We are in Scottsdale, Arizona.
We are.
At the Streamline Summit Conference.
We are. At the Phoenician.
Oh, yes.
Too, right?
Yes.
It's a pretty fancy hotel, I gotta say.
I love it. I can't wait for next year.
Yeah. I just learned from Corinne that they moved it here from the Westin, which was where they've held it the last few years, because it's now outgrown the size that the Westin can accommodate.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
It is.
And is this your first conference?
The first Streamline. We went live with Streamline in May.
Okay.
So we're brand new to all this fun technology.
And outside of Streamline, have you been to other vacation rental conferences?
Yes.
Okay.
I've been to the Verma International last year.
Okay.
And then the Spring Summit.
Okay. So you've been doing vacation rentals for a while now.
2 years. 2 years this month.
That's like 20 years in vacation rentals, right?
Yes.
2 years ago, what was your foray? How did you get started in it?
I actually, 3 years ago, I resigned from corporate. So I was a corporate engineer for 15 years and traveled all around the world.
You were a corporate engineer.
I was, yes.
What were you engineering?
My last position was with Ford, and I worked on vehicles coming out the next 15 to 20 years on the technical and the finance side.
Whoa.
So a little bit of a difference between here and then.
So when you're thinking that far in advance, we must be talking like driverless and all that?
That's about all I can say is yes.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Very cool. Okay.
Yeah, I got to see all kinds of neat technology and.
In fact, I had read that Waymo, was it Waymo? Mm-hmm. Has driverless Ubers or Lyfts here in Phoenix.
Really?
Yeah, and it turns out that it's only available to residents. Otherwise, I was going to suggest we do the podcast in one.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
It's a good thing my life insurance is paid up.
Would you be scared about getting into an automated vehicle?
Oh,
based on your insider knowledge?
Yeah, I'm a little 50-50 on that.
Okay. Would you have gotten into the first elevator?
Ooh, I don't know.
So 2 years ago, you leave Ford,
Yes.
corporate, full-time job, benefits, the works.
Really nice benefits.
Yeah, I bet.
Really nice salary.
Yep.
Yes.
Like when you're traveling places, staying in nice hotels.
I actually did not travel for Ford.
Okay.
So with Ford, I had the least amount of responsibility and didn't have a corporate cell phone, didn't have corporate credit card, nothing. And I made the most money, but was really pretty miserable.
Okay. Why? It was just not satisfying your soul?
It was not. And the culture, the team that I was on was very old school. So it was a very hierarchical, like I wasn't even allowed to talk in some meetings. So it was, which is totally opposite of all the...
That was actually a stated rule?
That was a rule that was not stated, but was very well understood.
How do they like intimate? Is that the right word, intimate? Like how do they communicate that?
You just know.
They'll look at you like...
You pick up on that stuff real quick.
Okay. Was that because of your gender, or was that just because of your hierarchical role?
So it was because of, gosh, I can't even tell you what level I was. I think I was a LL, I don't know, whatever. It's because of my level. Because at that, the culture was, well, what's your level? Who's your this? It's all L3, L4. And like, I don't really go for that. I mean, if you're on the team, then you're probably pretty valuable and you probably know a lot. So
you didn't feel like you were really being embraced.
Exactly.
So you left.
I did. And
was scary or fun or what?
A little bit of both, because I didn't know what I was going to do. And so July 1st of 2016 was actually my last day in corporate.
You have a gigantic smile on your face right now.
It was a fun day.
What did you do? Did you celebrate or something?
I did. I'm always celebrating. And you know what? So when I decided I was finally going to resign, because I was actually, so I talked to my mom on my way to work and on my way home every day at the time.
Okay.
I still talk to her every day. But the one morning I was on my way to the office and I was griping about work. And so she said, well, you keep talking about resigning. Why don't you just do it?
Oh.
And that was like the thing I needed to hear. So that
Called you out.
Yes. That was in March. So I was like, you know what? July 1st is going to be my last day in corporate. So when I did my last day, it was awesome, even though I didn't know what I was going to do. But still, just that freedom of, you know what, there's something better out here.
And what'd you do at nighttime? Did you go out for drinks or something?
I did not. I did celebrate with friends, though.
Nice.
So.
Went out to a restaurant, stayed home?
Yes, went out to a restaurant,
okay.
Yes.
And the celebration was that the corporate world was ending, or was it that this new unknown world was starting?
It was both.
Okay.
And it's funny you ask about golf, because when I resigned, so nobody left the department that I was in. And my boss said to me, well, what are you going to do? I said, you know what, Ray? I'm going to golf, because I used to golf.
What word are you saying?
What's that?
What word are you saying?
Golf.
Golf.
Yeah.
Oh, the way you pronounced that, I thought we was talking about something else. Golfing.
Golf, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because I used to be in sales, so I would take my clients golfing. And,
okay.
You know what's funny? I have not golfed one time in 3 years. And I have a beautiful set of clubs that are in my workout room.
Do you like it or no?
I love it.
If you love it so much, why don't you get back out on the course?
Well, because I'm running a business. Okay. I'm building an empire here.
So what is this empire that you're building? Wait, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
You leave corporate, and when you didn't know what you were going to do, what did you do?
I traveled for 6 months, and I was studying under a naturopath doctor because I really love natural health.
Okay.
And then I also had a 1-month internship with a real estate investment company in Indianapolis.
Okay.
So the first week I was in Indianapolis, I said, I'm moving to Indy, and real estate's what I'm going to do.
And was it?
It was. And in that time, that 6 months that I traveled, I Airbnb'd my personal property.
Okay.
So I had I had guests from all over the world, and I only met 2 of them. But I've always loved hosting and just loved providing quality accommodations for guests.
And the cash flow didn't hurt.
That was nice.
Okay.
That was really nice.
And did there come a point, like most, in which you're like, wait a minute, I should just rent it out, and like I would prefer to have guests staying there than to stay in my own home? Did you begin to see it as a business?
You know what's interesting was I didn't, because I was going to flip houses. But there was another plan when I moved to Indy.
What was it?
It was, I joined the Real Estate Investors Association group, which is super active there. And then just kind of word gotten around that I had Airbnb in my personal property. And so somebody said, hey, could you do it for somebody else? And I said, well, yes. Of course I can, not knowing what that meant, but that's how it started. So I've actually furnished the first property. And then just everybody's come from word of mouth. So that's been really, a huge blessing. And we have 17 properties now.
And how long is that since you first started?
2 years. 2 years.
In 17 properties in 2 years.
So 17 properties, and it's 23 listings because we have some duplexes and some other different ways of listing them. It's probably a good way to say it. So,
and who is this we?
My team. I have an amazing team. So I have 3 that are with me almost full time. My executive director is 20 years old and phenomenal.
Whoa.
I mean, absolutely phenomenal.
A lot of people are complaining about the 20-year-old generation these days in the work environment. This one's awesome.
Absolutely incredible.
Okay.
And I have one in her early 30s. She's fantastic. She's our full-time reservationist. So she just came on board with me 2.5 months ago. And then my tech guru, Melody, is phenomenal. She's here with me at the conference. I just can't say enough about.
And who are the first 2? We got to give them their name shout outs.
Caitlin and Melody.
Okay. No, Melody was the third.
I'm sorry. She was the second. Becca was the third.
Becca, Caitlin, and Melody.
Yes.
So female team.
Yes, which I always worked with men, right? Because I'm in engineering, and I was like, I never thought I'd have a staff of all ladies, but everybody, I think it works really well because everybody knows what their roles are, and everybody's really confident in who they are. So it works.
Statistically, I don't know the numbers, but I know for a fact that there's many more women in this industry than men, for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. Why do you think? Generally, they're better humans?
No, not at all, because not all of them are better humans. I just think probably just from the caring side. Even though, even my lead maintenance, which he's a guy, Jeremy's phenomenal too, and he's almost full-time. It's just we don't have enough yet to make him full-time. But even how much he loves our guests and doing things the right way the first time is really, really incredible. So I just think it's because women are generally more nurturing.
Yeah, I buy that too. But this vacation rental business of yours, you use the word Airbnb almost synonymous. Are they only listed on Airbnb, or do you have a broader website and brand around them?
Absolutely. So I started on Airbnb, but we're on Vrbo, and then we're really pushing for people to book directly with us.
Nice.
So, and then we'll be on booking.com in probably about 3 weeks.
Whoa, getting big time.
I know.
Shout out to Booking.
Yes.
And these are located all in Indianapolis.
Correct,
okay.
Currently.
And the majority of the guests are coming for vacation, work,
business. Yeah, so we have about 85% of our guests are coming for business. So we cater to a much different segment than your traditional vacation rentals. And because of that, well, I didn't even know that when I started, but we fully amenitize all of our properties, a lot of local products, locally made mattresses, locally roasted coffee.
Locally made mattresses?
Yes, and our guests love them.
I don't even think I've ever even seen a place where mattresses are made.
Well, if you come
Clearly
to Indy.
I'm not doing it right. And this furnishing of the properties is something that you guys do.
Yes.
That not all property managers do that.
Correct.
And that's just something that you've developed as a revenue stream? Something
Yes.
you're good at?
And actually what happens now is, so we give the client the budget, and then Caitlin and I, so Caitlin's the 20-year-old, we will buy the big furniture together, and then she gets the budget and she does the rest.
Nice.
So, and Becca also helps a lot out with that, and then at certain times Melody will as well. But yeah, they get it, and they know what we need.
This is a service that sets you apart, because other ones, I'm guessing, are not willing to do all that.
Correct.
The owners love it because it's turnkey.
Yes.
And you get all the control. You're a control freak.
No, but I just like things done right.
Most vacation rental professionals are total control freaks, and they will admit it. but having control of that situation seems like a really nice starting point for a relationship between an owner and a manager.
It is. And what we tell our clients is that and I say this very humbly, I don't mean this arrogant at all, but we're the best, and you hire us to make sure everything goes smoothly, and that's why, you know, you trust us. You look at our website and you can see what we've done with the property. So so we work with passive clients, only passive clients,
and not what's the opposite? Aggressive.
Well, and sorry, I should say passive investors is the better way. So yeah, I should clarify that. Thank you.
Well, I avoid aggressive people too. Aggressive clients. You leave corporate world of predictability for this new vacation rental world of complete unpredictability. Tell me your favorite guest surprise story.
Oh.
Like the most memorable one.
Oh, gosh.
Can be good or bad.
We just had this happen. We had a guest. We'll call her Susan.
My name is Susan.
Stayed with us for 32 nights. And so we just had the conversation in our ops meeting the day before about guests using illegal drugs in our properties. And so what we said was, because of Airbnb's rules for if there's damages and all this kind of stuff, if there's drugs involved, we said, you know what? We're calling the cops, no matter what. Even if it's, I hate to call the cops on marijuana. Just, it's so prolific now, even though it is illegal in the state of Indiana. But my maintenance guy, Jeremy, goes to the property the day of her checkout at noon. Checkout time's 10 a.m., and she's still there. When she opens the door, there is drug paraphernalia that is not related to marijuana at all. And so when our maintenance guy goes in...
syringes?
No, crack pipes.
Oh.
So it's funny because Caitlin was in the office with me, and we're like, I don't even know what that looks like.
No, I wouldn't either.
Like that's just, it's not my world, you know? And what was really cool was he was so upset.
Who?
My maintenance guy,
Okay.
Jeremy, was, just because like these are our properties, and we take really good care of them. So anyways, so he called the police, and the police came, and they said, well, she's got squatters' rights. She's been here for over 30 nights.
Susan?
Yes.
Susan.
So the issue, and the crack pipe was still right there because she moved some of our furniture around, which is okay if you move it back when you leave, but it was right there. I mean, he had video. Jeremy had video of it. So they're like, yeah, she has squatters' rights. They were still on the porch while they're telling him this. So she hears everything. And
she's like, yeah, I got squatters' rights.
Yes. So what ended up happening, so then he was so awesome. Like, he just stayed in his truck and just stayed at the property just to kind of watch what was going on. And
oh my gosh, what a standoff.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the type of operation I run, okay? This has never happened.
You're not crack friendly?
Oh, we are not. Thank you for clarifying that. No, absolutely not at all.
To add that to your listing.
Yeah.
So how did that end up?
So then I went down with one of my other buddies, great guy, another host in Indy, and so we went down at 5:30 because she had said she was going to be out of the house at 6 o'clock, and so
so she had relinquished because I'm envisioning her buckling down and saying, I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, just wait. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So we get there, and then he actually posed as another Airbnb guest. So, and like, we didn't even know what we were going to do. I'm just like, I'm going to be at the property at 5:30. He's like, okay, I'll meet you there. I was like, oh, better say some prayers on my way down, right? So,
so he was going to say, I'm checking in.
Yes.
That's pretty smart. It's like a sort of non-aggressive way of getting her to leave.
Yes. So he gets there, and then and I'm just sitting in my car. I have no idea what's going on, right? Because I can't hear anything. And then I'm like, I should probably go up. So,
this is like an undercover operation.
It was, yeah, and it was really kind of interesting because I had no idea what to say, and then so I go up and I'm like, hey, I'm Elizabeth, and what's the other thing that's funny is that Caitlin, so whenever we get longer bookings, we'll offer to take them out for a meal just to say thank you for being our guest, and so Caitlin had already met our guest,
Susan.
I warned you, Susan.
Yes, and at lunch she had got a Long Island iced tea.
Susan.
Yes, on a Thursday, on a work day. But, there's no judging. I mean, if you want to drink, that's fine. But that's just that's a pretty strong drink at lunch.
Right.
And Caitlin was there also. She had drove separately, and I told her, I said, you just stay in your car and just kind of, keep an eye on things. So Susan and I are having a conversation. I said, hey, your checkout time was was at 10 o'clock, and so we're having this. I'm very calm, right? Very, very calm on this. And
Were you nervous?
I was, because
she was going to like stab you or something?
No, but it was obviously that she had been using some of the stuff that she had. And the other thing with Indiana, and I'm kind of fuzzy on the laws, even though I talked to my lawyer, I talked to other landlords and property managers, not Airbnb, not short term, because short term is still so brand new, right? So we're talking, and then so I stay outside of the door. I do not go in until she invites me in. And then she invites me in the property, and she's like, fine, just come on in. And she's like, well, if you want to just pack me up, then you can, and I'm just going to go on to my other property. So the thing was,
my other property?
She had booked another property, and I don't know how. I still don't know, but it wasn't one of our properties. We did, well, anyways, I won't say that part, but she had another property for 2 nights. With us, she had booked directly with us.
And she paid?
Yes, and she had paid.
It's really intriguing.
Yeah, and she had been our guest before, the month before, for 4 nights. She was with us, and no problem. So we just,
I love that. How fine, I'll go to my other property.
Yes. So what ended up happening was... so this is a little liberty, and sometimes you just got to take a little liberty, right? So she says to me, she's like, well, I've done my research, and I heard the cops, and I have squatters' rights, and I don't have to leave. And I said, oh, Susan, you are sadly mistaken, and so were those cops. I said, as a matter of fact, I have a meeting with their sergeant tomorrow, because this is not a traditional rental. This is a commercial property because it's short term, and you are currently trespassing. And I'd be happy to call the cops right now because you need to leave because your time was up at 10 a.m. this morning. And her eyes got...
Was that true?
Real big. I don't really know.
You just went with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because she's in my property, and
right.
A couple times she said, "Oh well, my house." And I said, "Excuse me, but this
house.
Isn't your house." And she's like, "Oh, fine."
One of my houses.
Yeah. So it was, and we packed her up. Right. So and she.
How did you pack up the crack pipe?
Well, she had put that in a suitcase. So she had 2 suitcases, but she literally, my undergrad's at Purdue, and I lived in a co-op house, which is kind of like a sorority, but not, because we have to do a lot of the work. And so I lived with 28 other girls my first 2 years at Purdue. She had, like, no joke, she had more clothes than when I lived with all these other ladies. It was unbelievable. So we put her stuff in trash bags. And at this point, like, I'm voice recording stuff, just, saying that, yes, everything was, and she asked me, she said, well, fine, well, go ahead and help me pack up. So we packed all of her stuff. So it took 2 hours to get everything done. And then we moved her in 2 SUVs to her next property.
Escorted.
Yes. Because I told her, I said, I'm happy to get you an Uber. And she's like, oh, I can pay for my Uber. That's okay. Well, I know that wasn't possible. So, she was like calmer and calmer as I talked to her more. And I would ask her, I would say, well, how do you want me to pack these dresses? How do you want me to pack this jewelry? I mean, she has like a million times more clothes than I ever thought of having.
Strange. What a peculiar human, this Susan.
Call me Susan.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
And this was early on in your vacation rental career?
Oh, honey, this was just 2 weeks ago.
Oh, this is fresh.
This is real fresh.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
And yet you are still as enthusiastic as ever.
I am.
This is Sean Miller, the president of Point Central. As a sponsor of the podcast, and also as a person who recently beat Matt in a one-on-one basketball game, we have the opportunity to interview Matt in this season's podcast. Well, we're going to save the full interview for the end of the season. Right now, we're going to share a small tidbit with you. Enjoy. Young Matt Landau. However many years ago that was. What did young Matt Landau want to be? What was your dream as a kid in school? When I grow up, I want to be X. What was that?
I did not have an answer to that question. There were kids in my class who wanted to be scientists and mathematicians and, professional sports athletes. I did not have an idea, to be honest with you, and I still kind of don't. In college, I was asked to choose a major. That freaked me out. That made me stress because that forces you to like choose something, and maybe I'm just not good at choosing. But I never really had an exact idea of what I wanted to do. I knew I loved travel. I knew I loved to collect things, and I knew I loved working with people. So I think that combination of factors is more or less beneath all of my professional journeys. So I certainly did not know what I wanted to do when I grew up, when I was younger, and I still don't really, but I do know that at the moment I am on a good path, and most importantly that I am on the path with good people. That for me is most important, and that if we don't have to exactly know where we're going so long as we've got the right people in the room, and that's who I'm looking at right now. All right, enough interviewing me. If you want to learn more about Point Central, head over to pointcentral.com/VRMB. You can sign up for a free demo, you get free HVAC analytics, and Sean's team takes incredibly good care of people. Now let's get back to the show. I see that you have also taken a step in sharing what you are learning at your vacation rental business with other professional managers. Mm-hmm. What was the inspiration behind that?
I really believe in that a rising tide raises all ships. And when I moved to Indy, I was doing small houses at first, and then I got the opportunity to bid on doing a really big house. And there was another management company that was doing big houses, and I called them. Actually, one of their clients said, "Hey, just call. We'll call her Amanda." Said, "Hey, just call Amanda." And so I called her and I said, "Hey, so-and-so gave me your name." I said, "Can I take you out for coffee or lunch? And could I ask you about larger houses? And I'm happy to share my tips and tricks for what's working for me." And she said, "We don't share our proprietary information." I was like, "Oh, okay." So that really just fueled my fire because, I mean, everybody has their own niche and their own special way of doing things. So that was what really just kind of set that whole sail.
And does proprietary information exist?
I don't really think so in the vacation rental world. I mean, if you've got hospitality down, right, you know how to treat people.
You wouldn't share with me if I moved to Indy and I was opening up a competitor business of yours, and I wanted access to your maintenance man. Mm-hmm. Would you give it to me? If I wanted your process, your step-by-step process for making sure a house is ready for check-in, would you share that information with me?
For a price, absolutely.
Okay. Yes. So are you doing that? Are you actively sharing that information for a price?
Yes. So I'm
Or are you just doing it for free?
Some things I do for free. And some things, because I do teach once a month, and I give out a lot of tips and tricks because I want other hosts to be, the underlying thing is that I want people to enjoy their stay in Indy and want to come back.
And what does teaching look like?
For me, so I lead a subgroup for the local Real Estate Investors Association. And so like this month, I taught on all of the amenities that are really good in having. And then I also shared our instance with Susan and just things that you should know and make sure that you have in your policies and your contracts. And
these moments that are less than savory, they have a name on your social media stream these days. I did my homework. The Dirty Laundry.
Yes.
The Dirty Laundry series.
Hello everybody. So we are starting a new series called Dirty Laundry, where we tell you about the more fun aspects about what we do. So I am standing here with one of our trash cans, which is actually a really big deal in the vacation rental industry. So we got notice from one of our neighbors. They were missing their trash can. And so we were here, we're actually on a field trip. We are verifying where our trash cans are. So just know that if your trash can is missing, just look around the alley. You can check with your other neighbors. We like to maintain really good relationships with our neighbors.
If those listeners that have not seen the Dirty Laundry series, where can they find it, first of all?
On my LinkedIn, which is Elizabeth Maora Sickels.
And they're fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Someone's holding an iPhone and filming you. They're almost all less than about 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. Filming you talking about a specific tip or accident or lesson that you learned the hard way?
Yes.
Share with us, and a nice example I think would be the mice.
Yes.
Share the mice one real quick. The mice tip.
Okay, so the mice tip is that please don't use poison because mice will crawl and die in walls and all other places. So we do the glue traps. And that way, either our maintenance guy or one of my other team members can just pick up that mouse trap, and nobody touches the mice, and nobody has to smell it.
There is nothing more gross than like walking into a business. I'm thinking restaurant, but equally bad would be a vacation rental, and seeing a dead mouse on the hallway.
We don't want that.
No. So this is a simple one, because otherwise people have mouse traps or mouse poison, right? And then you can't control the mouse carcass.
That's right.
So this is an example of a tip that you're just sharing freely, because you like other people to be empowered and to learn from your tips. But you also seem to enjoy it, I think.
It's fun, yes.
Is that like the teacher in you?
Probably. And just the fact that nobody wants to talk about the bad side of things. And like, I don't really, like, I would have never shared what happened with Susan, but like, people need to know, like, this stuff can happen. And my teammate Melody was the one that said, hey, would you be okay with doing like an EM dirty laundry? I was like, oh, I love it. Yes, because this is the things that we deal with that nobody wants to think about or maybe talk about.
It's a really good point, and I've often found my own content ignoring or overlooking or sidestepping or something the less than savory stuff in favor of here's the way you do it, here's a best example, here's a perfect scenario. Just because I was ignorant to it, I guess, but now that I'm thinking about it, sharing the mistakes or the failures, or perhaps worse, ignoring the mistakes or the failures can be very painful or harmful, dangerous.
Excuse me.
So with that, I think I'm going to start sharing more negative experiences.
Oh, awesome.
You all have Elizabeth to thank for that. You're only 2 years into this industry.
Yes.
You're pretty newbie.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
What in this time have you learned, the most important thing that you've learned that you share with other newbies? That's my first part of this question.
Okay. The most important part, I think, is being a really great host and knowing that your guests are really, that's who you're here for. So that's where your passion should be around. For us, our mission is providing exceptional client and guest services. But if we don't have happy guests, then we're not going to get more properties. We're not going to get more clients. So that's the big thing. Always think about what's the best for the guest.
Ultimately, the guest is paying all the bills.
Yes.
We used to do at my vacation rental business when we would bring on someone who knew, we would always do a little exercise. And we'd say, everyone be in the same room, we'd say, who is your boss? And almost always the new employee would point at like her immediate boss. But in fact, the answer is the guest. We're all working for the guest. It is they who define all of our paychecks. It's they who are helping the owners as well. And if we forget that, nothing else will work. I mean, that's unstable ground. So that's your tip for the newbies. Focus on hosting. If you can't get that right, probably nothing else will fall into place.
Absolutely.
What have you been most overwhelmed or surprised by that you have still yet to wrap your head around as a newbie?
Oh, gosh. I would say how guests act at times. So, and sometimes how they leave the properties. I was just raised a certain way, and like I just think that everybody should treat a property like that. So sometimes I'm just like, oh wow.
But does it like hurt you?
I've more laid back about that now because I just know it's part of it. And what's really cool, Matt, is that like my team gets so fired up about like things that used to really fire me up. Like now they get so upset about, and like it's really like it's not gonna be that big of a deal.
So is the takeaway there, detach yourself a bit from the personal connection to the property?
Yes, absolutely. Because things are gonna happen. Bad things they just are. It's a property, so. And guests, everybody has different ways of how they leave the property.
And there are also some things, I get the feeling that you're kind of like constantly building your best practices. You're sharing them, which forces you to understand them in a new way. The candle tip. These are recent Dirty Laundry episodes for
Yes.
those who have not been watching all the Dirty Laundry. The candle tip is basically don't leave real candles in your property.
Well, and we don't. That guest brought their own candles. But yes, we are very big advocate of no real candles.
Why did they bring their own candles?
Well, because they knew they were going to be smoking pot.
Oh, duh.
Yeah, and these are grown men in town for a bachelorette or a bachelor party.
I would have liked to be there in the preparation stage. Like one guy's, who's got the pot? I got it. Who's got the candles? Oh, we'll have to stop at the store on the way for some candles.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were lighting them up to mask the smell.
Right, which is, I mean, I don't like it, but as long as they're at the property, but they left them lit and they checked out. So my cleaning crew comes in, which I have my cleaning crew's great. And they text the company phone right away to say, just so you know, they left live candles and I'm ready. Now, I was pretty attached at that one because I just don't understand. Why would you do that?
So how do you, you can't avoid that moving forward, or can you?
I mean, you can't because guests are going to do whatever they're going to do. But we just try to remove, even though, again, we did not have candles or matches, but we try to make the guests feel really welcome from the time they book with us. So like if they say, like he even said, hey, we're coming for a bachelor party. And we're like, oh, that's awesome. Congratulations, blah, blah, blah. But we try to at least build a rapport, which you can do over email. It's really kind of interesting today just because technology is, has made that okay.
Well, what is that? Just the ability to read between the lines?
I think so.
Or when someone actually says like the wrong questions, I guess.
I think part of it's reading between the lines, even though, I didn't think that they were going to be smoking pot in my property. But he's also a former pro football player. So, but, it takes all kinds. Now I can laugh about it. A few months ago, I was not laughing about it.
That's interesting. So where is this current business heading?
So our plan is to expand nationally. And then also, I did have a couple of my own Airbnbs. I just sold those in June because I feel like if I tell other people to do it, my money should be there also. So now I'm looking for a commercial property where I can do a mix of short-term rentals and long-term rentals and kind of a really boutique kind of specialized hotel. So I'm really very actively looking for apartment buildings in Indianapolis.
And the commercial component is so that you don't have to worry about any regulatory issues or what?
Right. Yes. And so that I can have multiple units, we can do what we want, we can have short-term, long-term, and just really provide a cool guest experience.
What is it going to be called?
Hotel EM.
Wow.
And we're going to have the rooms will all be different. So we theme all of our properties, so we're going to have a graffiti room and then some really classy things just to really get to whatever genre you like, whatever type of style you like.
Each room is going to be themed.
Yes, every room.
Very limited edition.
Yes.
And have you already got all the themes down, or are you still brainstorming?
We're still brainstorming.
Because you still don't have the property yet. I'm guessing you're going to be inspired by the right property.
Yes.
And so now, currently, you don't manage any of your own.
That's correct.
Because you sold the Airbnbs.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be a step back into the world of management.
Mm-hmm.
Will you continue to balance the sort of thought leadership stuff that you've been doing, sharing the tips and all that?
Oh, absolutely. Can you imagine what I'm going to get with an apartment building?
All kinds of tips.
That's right.
All kinds of Susans.
Yes. Oh, you know what? We shouldn't put that out there. We're going to take that back, Matt.
Who else helps you make these real estate decisions?
Oh, so I have a whole. I read the book, Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Mm-hmm. It's a great book. Highly recommend it. So I do real estate investing, and I have some friends. I took classes through one of the companies that he owns. So I have some really, really great friends from that I'll bounce things off of, run numbers. And
how nice to have that kind of group.
Oh my gosh. Very fortunate.
And are they all doing similar kinds of things? What do they think about vacation rentals?
They think what I'm doing is cool.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They're not dabbling in it themselves?
My one friend is in California. Yes. But she does coffee shops, and she's an incredible, super, super savvy lady. But everybody kind of has their own little niche in the real estate. Mm-hmm.
Are you surprised that more are not thinking vacation rentals?
They are, but they're doing so good in what they're doing right now. So
right.
That's
Makes
why
sense.
They're not. Mm-hmm.
I'm oftentimes amazed at how little traditional investment investors and traditional real estate people know about vacation rentals. They're just starting to hear things. They have a lot of there's a lot of buzz around Airbnb. Maybe in a lot of cases they're starting to use them when they travel themselves. But it's still oftentimes a light bulb goes off, like they realize this is a whole industry that's taking place. And I'm always excited to see people who bridge the vacation rental and real estate worlds. I think there's tons of opportunity there. Even my friend Emily, she's a real estate agent in Chicago. She will sell properties with basically vacation rental business models built into them. So if someone wants to, have this predictable kind of cash flow, and she sells more properties that way.
It's a great alternative.
But it does require more work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you tell someone what kind of person what kind of investor should consider vacation rentals?
You have to be able to take the risk. So especially in Indianapolis, we have our high seasons and then our low seasons. So the risk has to be there, cash flow. You need to make sure that you can cover all of that. Also the risk that we do our best, to make sure we get good guests in there, but we can't guarantee it. So the risk on that side as well. And then
what is that risk part?
As far as if somebody does come in and tear up your property, that's the additional risk that they have to have. They have to be able to stomach that.
Okay, emotionally.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. And financially.
Right.
I mean, we have insurance and, all that kind of stuff, but just to know that could happen.
Okay.
And then we always go through as well, just that there are additional costs. There's the supplies, the insurance is more expensive for a short-term rental. So we just make sure that they know all of that going up. Those are the risks that you need to be aware of. And you have to pay utilities, whereas if you're a traditional landlord, you don't.
And who is it good for?
It's good for anybody that knows what area of real estate, knows what monies they need to make. So are they looking for cash flow? Do they want appreciation? Do they want the tax benefit or the principal reduction? Why are they getting into it? As long as they know that.
And I'm going back to your first tip. They have some passion for hospitality or taking care of people. Because if you don't have that, the business doesn't work either, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is a good note for people thinking about entering the industry. I oftentimes think about where things are 10 years from now, let's say. And you look at it, looking backwards, we're at the very beginning, the big scheme of things. And there's going to be so many more people thinking that it's easy, trying to get involved. And I think in a lot of cases, your style of cautionary education, for lack of a better phrase, is important. Almost overemphasizing the things that can go wrong in order to avoid just a rush of people who are not cut out for the industry, because that's not good for anyone either.
It's not.
The guests, it's not good for guests. It's not good for other local professionals. In your region, do you deal with people who are not serious hosts?
Absolutely. Yes.
And it affects everyone.
It does. And that's one reason why I like to share the information. So again, because it goes back to, right, we want our guests to come back to Indy, and if they have a bad experience, then they're going to say, oh, Indy was horrible, or I'm never doing Airbnb or Vrbo or Booking.com again. So that's the other reason why I like to share.
Yeah, well put. We have answered almost all of my questions that I had for you on this interesting first meetup that was supposed to be at the bar but is now inside of a bedroom talking into microphones. Are you going to be at the conference for the next day?
I am,
okay.
Absolutely.
Cool. Tomorrow night's the big party.
And I'm sad to say we will not be at it.
No?
No, we have our flights at 4:30 or so tomorrow afternoon.
Heading back to Indy.
We are, yes.
Okay. And what's on the horizon for the next few months?
Next few months is adding more properties, getting better at our standard operating procedures as well, and then scouting commercial properties. So the one that I actually physically looked at, I was so upset because I ran the numbers, and I was in Detroit actually when I ran the numbers, but I just stared at the paper for 5 minutes because I was like, the numbers can't be this bad, because I really liked the property. I was like, I know I can make this work. I know I can make money. I'm like,
look at it this way.
Yeah, like, no, numbers don't lie. So I'm hoping within the next few months I can identify a property so we can start. The team is super excited about it. I think I'm going to let them also pick a theme for every room as well. So Yeah, so that's what the next few months look like for us.
And that will make the total amount of properties under your fleet
Just under 50.
it's under 50. Oh, this new
Yeah.
building will have that many properties in it.
That's the plan.
Holy smokes.
That's what I'm thinking.
You're about to like triple in size.
I know, isn't that crazy?
And you're not frightened at all by that kind of speed?
No, because I've got to, like I said, I mean, it goes back to my team. Like, man, they're awesome. So we're also, I have a client that asked us to look at 5 properties in Henderson, Nevada. So they've just deregulated short-term rentals. There's still a lot of regulations around it, but now they've made it legal so you can do it. So we're looking at possibly expanding there as well. So we've got a lot going on in the next few months.
And you've got a dirty laundry each week to publish.
That's right. Yes.
Because now we're all watching. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This has been wonderful.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We end every interview with a high five.
Perfect.
Hey folks, thanks for listening. I just wanted to remind everyone that this episode was brought to you by Point Central, the home automation experts of our industry. You can head over to pointcentral.com/VRMB, fill out the form, and take a free demo. You'll also get free HVAC analytics, and I can promise you that Sean's team will take great care.